Good morning, everybody. It's Barb from Barb's Ink Pad, and it's 10 o'clock and it's Friday, and it's time for some fun. Yesterday I did not post. I did post that I was going to do one thing, but it was like right after, it wasn't long after finding out about the death of Queen Elizabeth, and it just didn't seem right to say are you ready, Yeti, to party? It just seemed a little rude. Maybe. I know she is not our queen. Some people, like that, but she led a very interesting life. And like everything, you can't help what you were born into, because I've heard lots of different remarks in the past day, about how she's like you can't help where you're born. You can do something about it, and I think she did a lot as a female. And if you haven't watched it, it's a good series to watch. It's The Crown, and I heard that was pretty true to life. So it was very, very interesting and gave you a whole different perspective on the woman's life. Anyway, enough of that, because I'm sure there's going to be tons and tons of things coming up in the next couple of weeks with all of that. But anyway, wanted to do Yeti to party. One of the reasons I chose Yeti to party is because I was kind of on the fence about this from the very beginning, but what really sold me was the fact that now there are dyes to go with Yeti to party, only available this month, September, to get it. And it worked out well for me because I hadn't bought Yeti, so I got the two together and was able to get the 10% discount for getting the dies and the stamp set together. So I've had it for a little bit and just decided to play around with it. And I'm going to show you something too that I found out, and it was only because yesterday I thought, for once I'm going to sit there and watch one of the little videos on the Stampin' Up website, and it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize that there was one piece in here that I didn't know quite what it was for, and then I found out, and I'll show you. And also I'm missing one piece. Yesterday I was cutting out some stuff, and it's like, seriously, where did that little piece go? So somewhere around here it just disappeared, and I'm hoping that it didn't go into the garbage can, but it's a piece that it's not that big of a deal if I have to fussy cut, to be perfectly honest. It's not that big of a deal. And I'll tell you what piece that is. Hey Kay, how are you doing? Are you doing better? Feeling better? And so let me show you, and this is what I'm going to do. And it's really, it's a simple card. There's not a whole lot to it, but I did a couple of things to it. This is that fabulous, the vellum paper that has, one piece has the, oh God, like all of a sudden has like the white felty kind of look to it, and the other part has the glimmer paper. It's like glimmer, it's like opaly. The snowflake. See, it's all around the same place. Snowflake specialty paper. So you have one side that's iridescent foil, the other side has white flocking, and I'm using the white flocking on this. And I'm also using the Snowfall Puff Accents. It cracks me up every time I think of puffy paint. When my daughter was in college, I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but it was a long time ago. She's already had this year would have been her 20th, 30th year from high school. So anyway, but when she was in college, all the college girls did was, we're going to do puffy paint. They puffy painted everything. Puffy painted cups, puffy painted everything. But this one's a little bit different because you actually need your heat gun to puff it up to give it that snow effect. But I love it to use it as snow effects for this one, and then for the snowman stamp set. So let me this is really easy to put together. I did it doing the landscape, so I cut my cardstock at 4¼ by 11 and scored it at 5½. And then I cut a piece of the snowflake vellum paper. What else do you put in back of a Yeti? And did that. Now, I was trying to decide, do I want to kind of put this on? Do I want to put the snowflake thing on first? But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on because I'm going to show you what I did. What I did with this, just because it just made life a little bit easier, is I just used glue dots. So this way the glue dots don't show up as much. And I didn't really want to try to do it with, God, I hate when I roll it up. You know, sometimes I've been getting them up really, really well, like almost a whole piece. I don't know. Anyway, and you know, like I just felt like the glue dots weren't going to show up as much as if you did the Stamp and Seal or even the the Stamp and Seal or tear and tape and tear and tape. There we go. That one came off as good as what. But I used 4 of them. No, I think I might have used 6. Anyway, but glue dots stick stuff down, and then pick one here in the middle. You can kind of hide it behind some things, so it kind of works out really well. But this is cut 5¼ by 4, and I'm going to put this here. So, and then we'll put this on the side, and hopefully I won't lose it. Then I have a piece of white that I just free-formed the little hill with that. So it is 5¼ across. So you just kind of, you don't have to make it real high. You don't have to make it real big. And so you got a little hill here. Now this stuff is fun. I'm going to put it on my little pad, my little silicone pad. I like this. I've been really using this a lot more than I really needed. Than I really did. Okey-doke. And so with this, you just want to put it on. Now you can leave like big blobs, I'm telling you, and then when you use your heat gun, you're going to use your heat gun to do it. I'm just kind of doing it. I try not to do it like, you know, you can kind of leave. The bigger blob you leave, the bigger blob you're going to get. So it's going to be kind of hard. And then you're going to use the heat gun. And the heat gun will heat it up. I'm going to do this to kind of keep it down. And it takes a little while. Sorry about all the noise. But the heat gun will sometimes spread it out a little bit. You can leave some empty spaces in there if you want. Only because sometimes, especially if snow's been in the thing, and you'll notice what's happening because then it'll start to puff. And you don't want to leave it on too long because, trust me, one time I've done something and it kind of, it'll let you know if you've been on there too long because it'll kind of get brown. But I just love the way that it kind of puffs up. And I don't know if you can see it starting to puff up on the one side. Sorry about all the noise. They don't really make quiet air guns. And then it's sort of like with glitter. Once you kind of get it rolling, it kind of starts to all come up. It's kind of fun. I just really love the effect. There we go. But there you can see how it all just kind of puffed up. So it looks like kind of like puffy snow, puffy whatever. So it kind of works out. So now with this, I am just going to take, and I'm just going to try without trying to, you can smash it a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. But actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my tear and tape. And my tear and tape, then this way you're not smashing it down a whole lot like you would with the stamp and seal. So this way you can just kind of put that down, you know, make a mess of it and put it here on the wrong, you know, put it all the way there. And then you can just kind of take this, but it just doesn't, you know, it won't. And then it'll just kind of go back down. But it'll smash up a little bit, but it's not that, it's not awful. Let me see if there we go. There we go. It'll kind of come into focus. I'm telling you, the Yeti, I've had, and then I'm just going to put this down here on the bottom, just right there. This way you got snow falling and you got snow on the ground. There you go. How easy is that? It just makes life really, really fun. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp up our little Yeti and stamp up our people. Stamp up our things. I already cut out his little scarf, but I'm going to take, and I like to use this foamy pad when I'm using the clear stamps, when I'm using the photopolymer stamps. It just sometimes will give you a clearer image. I've been kind of like, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Let me get this up here a little bit. Let me get rid of this just to get more things. And using my Memento Black. And I'm going to stamp him. And is he not cute? He's got a little smile on his face. And then I'm just going to take and I'm just going to color him in a little bit. I have light gray granite. I just wanted to give his face a little bit of something different, you know, than the rest of him. But I still kind of think of a Yeti as being the abominable snowman, and he's kind of more white. You could also think of him as like a Bigfoot, but he's a little bit different than a Bigfoot. Bigfoot is more like, you know, you think, and I'm making his, actually I am going to, you can make the Yeti anything you want. I'm making his little horns red on this one, because he's like a Christmas Yeti. So he's got little red ones and a little red tongue. Is he not cute? But I'm going to use my little thing, and then I'm going to cut out a couple of other things, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Got my little one. Let's see, that's, you know, that's what I said. I really like the Yeti, and I thought, oh my, it would be so cool. And I'm surprised that in the very beginning, but they must have known, because they get their stuff together so soon, so much earlier. I really wish they would come up with a good little magnetic base for these things. I'm still using the old Sizzix one at times, but then at times you sort of get, you know, like where it kind of goes. But I got him pretty good. What do you think? What do you think? Okie doke. Now I'm also going to, let me put this down here, get that on the side, because now what I also want to do is I want to stamp his mug. Stamp his mug. Oh, I don't like the way that one's stamped. Ugh. Some days are better than others. There we go. Stamp the mug. And stamp the larger present. Yeah, the smaller present is the one, the little, there's a die for the larger present and for the smaller present, and somehow, somewhere along the line yesterday, that little present die went somewhere. And I, you know, it's like one of those things when I pulled it off my thing. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. To cut it out is not a big deal. And anyway, I'm going to do his mug because the cardstock that I'm using is the mint macaron. So I'm making his mug mint macaron. And I'm making the present. I'm using dark real red, dark real red. Since we're using him as a Christmas kind of a card, we're going to use red and green with it. I'm using the dark real red for the present and light shaded spruce. And then I am going to also take, and I am going to go over with my Wink of Stella, just to give them a little bit of sparkle. It's Christmas. Christmas always deserves sparkle. Sometimes I really miss the fact that we don't really have glitter. And I'm going to do it with the present too. But it just gives a little bit of a sparkle. Anybody else miss the glitter? Dazzling Diamonds was like my absolute favorite. Absolutely. And we'll get rid of Yeti. And we will cut these out. And hope that I can do this as good as I did the other. And I know I could use my some washi tape. But if I do this just right, I can get it and hold it down, especially with the little one. Hold them down just cool, just fine. See, yesterday when I pulled it off my big one, I don't know what happened, but the one little present just kind of went somewhere. There's my mug. There's the other. Okie doke. And where did the present go? There's the present. And I mean, I was looking inside my machine. I was looking everywhere. I swept up. And I'm still not sure where it is. One time it's going to pop right up. Anybody else have anything that just kind of pops up and you find it on the bottom of your cutter? I found it on the bottom of my cutter. Okie doke. Put this in here. Where's my Yeti? Put my Yeti over here. I love to talk to myself too. Makes life some easy. I've also cut out some mountains that are in there. Are they not cool? And then I had cut out a bunch of them and I wasn't sure what I was going to use them for. And I think I ended up using here's my Yeti. And my Yeti, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop his little mug up. I'm going to pop him on there. But first what I'm going to do is I cut out a scarf, and with the scarf I used, I believe I used, why do I want to say Poppy Parade? Because Poppy Parade. I used that on his scarf, and I'm just going to you could use a little bit, I'm going to use a little bit of the white glue. And can you imagine walking through the woods and seeing a Yeti with a scarf? Could you imagine walking through the woods and seeing a Yeti or a Bigfoot? We watch a couple of programs, and I'm going to pop him up with some dimensionals. Put one there, one there, one there, one there, and one in the middle. But he is so much fun. You can use him for anything. It doesn't have to be that, because there are a couple of sayings on the set. Winter wishes and holiday hugs. There's also, is it Christmas Yeti? And get Yeti to party. It's your birthday. So you can use him as a birthday. So I'm going to put him over here. He's walking on the snow. And then I'm going to take, he's got a present. We'll take and put his little present there in his hand. Yeah, and he's got a present. And he's got a mug of hot chocolate. You always walk through the woods with a mug of hot chocolate. Or maybe it's his coffee. Who knows? What do you think a Yeti drinks? And then I have these really cool, these are the adhesive back sequins and gems. And there's one that's sort of greenish looking, and I put that right in the middle of his mug. That just kind of made it really cool, just because I could. And then I have a square, and I use the stylish shapes to cut these out. I used the second and the third one there to cut those out. And I can't remember if today was the day or yesterday was the day. It was ampersand day. Whoa! Can you imagine? And then I just put these, you can put them together, you can do them separately, but it's so much fun just to do. It's this little tiny ampersand and winter wishes. Let me see, it's probably better. Let me put the winter wishes and then and kind of judge the middle, and then let me see, kind of judge the middle. Oh, that's off a little bit. Let me see. That's sort of the middle there, because there's W-I-N, sort of in the middle there. If it's a little bit off, it doesn't make any difference, because even these are a little bit, they're not all right there in the middle. And then I use mint macaroon to stamp them. And I think I might have to. And there we go. Sorry. and winter wishes and holiday hugs, but you can put it right on there and it works out just fine. It all depends on if that, is going to make it seem. And these I just glued down. I didn't pop them up only because it didn't seem to kind of wanted to go a little bit more behind them. So I wasn't all that worried about getting them on there. I think I have just enough. And put that right there. And then I just took a couple of these little green ones and put them on either side. Trust me, I had them like different places, and I was like, I'm not sure which place I want to put them. And I thought, well, let me just kind of do that right there. But I just thought, he's just too cute. I just absolutely love this little guy. And like I said, it's only through September that they have. Let me see. I know I had. Don't you just love when you put something on the side and you know that you did? And I just have, and I'm pretty sure I didn't use it. Anyway, it's really neither here nor there. I can actually cut another piece. I'm going to cut a piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to cut it 4 by 5 1/4 and use that for the inside. Let's see, do 5 1/4 by 4, and all I did was use the Christmas tree, because it's saying, is it, winter wishes. You could probably just put the cocoa and stuff, but pretty sure I used the tree and the presents, just kind of put, or the snowflakes. So I used, there's 2 size snowflakes, a larger one and a smaller one. And your little Christmas tree, and I just used the mint macaron and just stamped. Let me put that right there. Hem in the middle. Put me in the middle. There's that song. Kind of makes you kind of wonder. And then one over here. Then one over here, and you can do the same thing on your envelope. You can put anything on your envelope if you choose. You can put the Christmas tree, you can put the presents, you can put a big Yeti on your envelope, which makes it really cool. Thank you, Kay. I just, I just really love using this paper for the this vellum, snowflake vellum, and then you could even use the one that's got the like opalescent-y looking snowflakes, because 2 of the sheets have the vellum, have the flocking, and you have the snowflake, and you have, it looks like snow, it's just dots on there, and it's the same thing with the other ones. So, but are they not cute? Let me show you a couple of other things that I did. Now this, I made a little shaker card, and this was the easiest thing. This is the paper that's on page 41, and it's the metallic shimmer paper, and I just used it's like a green and gold, black and silver, and the other one is sort of like the Cajun craze and some other kind of stuff, so you could use that for fall stuff. But I used the fabulous frames to cut out that part. And then I just did, it looks like this wasn't sticking too well here, so let's get him back up here and let's put down the, there we go. Got to make sure that you put that down, because I used the strips and did that and made like a little, you know, yeah, when you really push it down, it works out better. And it'll stay in there. So I just did them, get Yeti to party, it's your birthday. So, and I just put him right there on the outside, just made him really cool. And then on the inside, just put some presents. And again, I did that, but you know, like I used the white background, and then the piece that was cut out from the fabulous frames, I just stuck that in the background. So it looks like he's got a little bit of snow there or some celebrations. Here's another one. Is it Christmas Yeti? And this is the paper that you got free during celebration. And it's the silver, and you know, it looks like it's snowing. And here it is, a little Christmas tree, and use the pearlized enamel dots. And so he's got a little present there in the cup, and I gave him a blue scarf there. And I just left him, I didn't color him in at all, and just used the gray granite on that one. And this one I did yesterday. And this one is really cool. And this is what I found, you know, like, it's like I use the fern background because I just thought it looks Christmassy, or it looks whatever. And there was one piece in here, and I sat there and I thought, how does that work? How does that really work like that? I'm not really sure, because they kept on saying, you know, you can, you know, put a little thing down in there. And I'm like, how does that work? Well, let me show you. This little piece here, all it has is a little cut right there. So after you cut him out, here's one that, here, this guy doesn't have a scarf on. After you cut him out, all you have to do is lay this and right there by his fingers, cut it out, and it will give you that little slit there. Yeah, I know. Hey, Kathy. Yeah, I thought I was losing him there for a minute, but I got it down a little tighter. But yeah, this little piece here has just enough that gives you, that's the only cutting part on there. So trust me, because I was trying to figure out what this one was for, and that's what it's for. So it kind of cuts it, and it makes it open, and he's got the little Christmas present that you can just put it right on in there. See, so this is what you get. That's the little opening that you get, and it can fit right in there. And you can glue that in there if you want. And again, I just did the tree. This is shaded spruce, and I did the tree, and again, the pearlized little things there. Gave him some little banners under there, and underneath of it, I used some of the painted Christmas paper, you know, just to have something. I probably could have, you know, I know sometimes you get kind of like the, you know, the dies, and it's like, and this made the opening here, which is really cool. And again, I just kind of popped it up with the strips, which makes it a little bit easier and everything. And actually, I put a strip along here, and it's like, oh shit, you can't, oh, excuse me, oh shoot, you can't really do that, you know, because I was kind of putting him in. Or you can cut him off and, you know, just put him in a little bit and bump him up right against there. So you can make him as big or as tall as you want to. And then I just popped him up with a thing. So that is the fun that I had with the Yeti. And Mr. Yeti, fun with Yeti to the party. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hope gave you a few little hints. And like I said, most of the other dies, like I said, here are the mountains, and these are the little tops of the mountains, and the snowflakes, the mug. And I think this is what I tried. I think I tried it first, not even looking over there. I think I tried it at first, and I said, why aren't they fitting along there? But so that's what that is. So all the rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. You got the heart, and you got the ice cream cone, the little tops of the little mountains, the tree, and all like this. But this one, I'm like, I am not sure what that is. And if you watch it, yeah, the set did not, the set spoke to me. I thought it was really, really cute, but what really sold me was when they brought the dies out. And that's when I got both of them. Got the 10% off then too, with getting both as a bundle. But that's what spoke to me. What spoke to me was getting the dies to go with it. So hope you enjoyed this, and I will let you guys go for now. Have a nice weekend. It looks like it's going to be a fairly decent weekend here. It's going to be on the cooler side, cooler, lower 80s. No rain, maybe Sunday. Of course it's going to rain Sunday because we're going to go to the Maryland Renaissance Festival. And this is, like the one chance we're going to get. This one, it's one day that we went Labor Day weekend because age 62 and above get in free on Labor Day. And then this coming weekend on Sunday, we're going to be going because it'll be, we were there with my son and daughter-in-law and my granddaughters. And this weekend it will be my son, my daughter-in-law, my granddaughters, my daughter, my son-in-law, and my grandson, and some other friends. And we just have a good time. Everybody just kind of does what they want. We meet up at places, and we just have a good time. So that's what I have planned for this weekend. Other than that, not much else. So enjoy. And I will see you next Friday, back here, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And have a good weekend. Stay safe. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.